This is breaking news from the Las Vegas Review-Journal, sponsored by Michael Gaughan's South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa.
As officers went into around the leasing office, they are advised that the suspect then ran through the leasing office and out towards Flamingo Road, just to the west of me. Officers who were responding made contact with him, and he was taken into custody without incident. And in his possession, he had a large, mace or sledgehammer type instrument with him. At that same time, officers learned that that person was connected with an apartment and that the victim was possibly stabbed. The initial victim they contacted was at an apartment. They made their way up to that apartment where, unfortunately, they located the deceased remains of a female and two males. Based on that information and based on the scene, it did appear that they were murdered. Therefore, homicide was called, and they responded, and we have taken over this investigation. Based on the information I know right now, the preliminary details that we have from today are that prior to this call, the apartment leasing office had requested two maintenance workers to go to the apartment to do a welfare check. I'm still finding out the details of that welfare check, but they went up there to do a welfare check. They had a key, and they entered the apartment. Shortly after entering the apartment, they realized that the apartment was disheveled. It appeared that there was already a crime scene in there. And the suspect who was inside, who was a white male in his 30s, immediately confronted them and began attacking them. One maintenance worker was attacked at the door. He took off running. He's the one that made it to the leasing office and told us what occurred. The other maintenance worker, we believe, is still inside the apartment right now, deceased. In one of the bedrooms of the apartment, there's a male and a female deceased. We do not know their relation to the suspect. However, we do believe they are related and that they live together in the apartment, possibly at this time. Right now, there is nobody outstanding related to this incident. The suspect is in custody. Right now, the main focus of our investigation is to confirm the identities of who the other people are in the apartment and to confirm what caused this to occur. Specifically, the two people and when the male and the female that were in the apartment already deceased, when did that happen? We don't know that at this point in time. With that said, anyone with any additional information related to this investigation, please reach out to the LVMPD Homicide Section or reach out through Crime Stoppers in Nevada. With that, I'll take any additional questions you may have.
How many deceased?
Right now, we have 3 deceased, 1 female and 2 males. 2 males in their 40s, female in her 80s. We do not know injuries. We're still in this process in the scene. I anticipate, because the scene is very localized to the apartment, but it's very extensive, as you can imagine. So we'll probably be out here till the late evening hours processing the scene, and we won't know the extent of the injuries on everyone until later on, possibly tomorrow at autopsy.
A neighbor mentioned they heard somebody might have been bludgeoned to death by a baseball bat or some other instrument.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, he was taken into custody with a mace or sledgehammer type of object, but we also have the other worker who possibly has a stab wound to him. So it's hard for me to confirm anything beyond that.
So just to clarify, the deceased, the 2 were 40 and an 8-year-old male and female living in an apartment, and then the third is the maintenance worker, one of the 2 maintenance workers.
We believe it's going to be one of the maintenance workers, yes. So we have 4 total victims, 3 are deceased, 1 is still alive, and he's at UMC with non-life-threatening injuries. Yes, that was the initial contact the officers had with the male who said he believed he was stabbed and he had blood on him.
That's the one who's in UMC?
That's the one at UMC with non-life-threatening injuries. All the other deceased are still here on scene.
And that's the person who made the initial call to dispatch?
He went back to the leasing office where multiple people began calling us from the leasing office.
Was the suspect a resident in that apartment where the others deceased are?
We believe he was. We're working to confirm that, but we believe he is, yes. We haven't been in to process that far in the scene. We're still getting our search warrant and everything for the house. I'm only going off what the initial officers who responded and went in saw. So they saw what appeared to be a crime scene, and that people had been murdered in the scene. So therefore, we back out. We then do now homicides here, and we're doing a search warrant to begin our processing of the scene. So like I said, that will go into the late evening hours is what my anticipation is.
Have you identified the suspect?
Not right now, not this time. I'll just say that he's a white male in his 30s.
The ages one more time. You said 2 males in their 40s. A female was.
So the initial victim, who's who's alive at UMC is in his 50s. The other 2 males are in their 40s, and we believe the female inside is in her 80s. Yes.
The maintenance worker that left, did he call 911?
We're still confirming who all called 911. After he left, he went to the leasing office where we got multiple calls of 911 from the leasing office. Is that?
That's when you guys came and saw him in the blood.
That was the initial call, yes, and then he came out to us as we arrived on scene.
When do you believe residents will be able to enter back into the apartment complex, or are they free to do that now?
They're already free to come into the apartment complex. I'm glad you asked that. There is an entrance on the back side where they're able to make access to their apartments. So we just shut down this because the building is right here behind us.
What led to the warrant call for these maintenance men to go up into that building?
That's the part I said earlier. Like, we're still waiting to find out all the details of what was that call.
What does inside the apartment look like right now?
Right now, it's just sealed off, waiting for us to go in and process the scene. So I've not been inside.
And again, you said that you believe the suspect may be related to the 2 people living in the apartment.
We do believe there's a relation. I can't speak to what it actually is right now because we need to confirm who they are. And we have not been able to get in to do that part of that. And the coroner's responsible for the identification, but we can't even speculate as to who they are. We have information of who is registered at that address, who's on the files for there, but we still need to confirm who they are.
And then what else you said the entrance, but what else do residents here need to know? Are any of the apartments blocked off outside of the one that's
It's just this. It's the building right here. So just that area is roped off, but there's still residents that are inside their apartment. If they come outside, they get escorted out the way that we're having them come in and out. But that's it. That's the only part that is inaccessible for anyone to just walk in and out freely without being guided by an officer.
Is it the crime scene over in that area, in that apartment?
It's in that building right there.
That one over there?
Mm-hmm.
The way in, okay.
The second level?
Yes.
And sorry, again, you said it was a well check call when they were going in.
The initial call that the maintenance workers went to was a welfare check at the apartment. So, all right. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
You've been watching breaking news from the Las Vegas Review-Journal, sponsored by Michael Gaughan's South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa.